Hello, all you beautiful, lovely, gorgeous individuals, to a special Talking Sam edition here on my channel, Sam Says. And with me today, I know he said that he was making his farewell to YouTube, but I just say no, 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 good sir. Nah, as the great LA Knight, yeah, says. We're bringing you in for one more go around because as I was telling him before we started, when I found out that he was a big wrestling fan as well, I just thought, hey, I gotta talk to this dude. I got to get on the horn with him. And here he is, the musical genius that is Meelz. Meelz, my friend, my brother, all the way across the world. How you doing, my friend?
Good. Give me a second. I gotta
Oh, hold on. Hey, give him a sec.
man. I gotta come prepared.
Oh,
You know, like
hey,
got it's tis the season,
hey.
am I right? You know?
Hey, I love the spirit. I love the style. And just so, hey, I was trying so hard to fix my camera for this, but unfortunately, angles are weird. But look at that beauty. Look
I
at
like
that
that.
beauty. I
I
know.
I
Look at
was
that. How?
really thinking about getting one of the legit one because this is the one from Toys R
Hmm.
Us, right? So I
Yeah,
really
that's
wanted
that's
to
the
have
old
like
school one.
I really wanted to get like a legit one of John Cena's spinner belt because John Cena's my favorite, and
Oh.
that's like the era that I got into wrestling. So
Hmm.
that's one that I really want to have as like a display piece in whatever entertainment room I end up making.
Nice. That was a great era of wrestling right there. Ruthless
Mhm.
aggression era, let me tell you. And before we get into obviously what this topic is going to be, WrestleMania 40, our predictions for night one and two. What quick mails? What? How did you first get into pro wrestling? Was it WWE? Were you an old school WCW fan? Was it the beginning of Ruthless Aggression era? How did you first become aware of pro wrestling?
So I got into wrestling in a really weird, strange place that not a lot of people seem to really like. Um,
Hmm.
I start my first pay per view was Elimination Chamber 2012. So this was the last pay per view before
Oh.
28, the big Cena Rock match.
Hmm.
So I was always like aware of like The Rock, Stone Cold, all the big names, and a lot of kids in my school were really into wrestling. Like wrestling's actually really, really big here, especially WWE.
Really?
And
Okay. Nice.
for some reason, it flew over my head. I didn't quite get it until a bunch of my friends in Australia were starting to really talk about like this
Mm.
CM Punk guy and John Cena and like the build up to WrestleMania, and I'm like, whoa, The Rock is like wrestling again. Like I knew he was doing movies, and then he's wrestling again.
Mhm.
Okay, let's take a look at what this WWE thing is all about. And like I was hooked because at that time a lot of people criticized the PG era, but it was actually a pretty neat time. You had like Cena Rock was the
Yeah.
big feud at the time. CM Punk was red hot because this was like
Oh.
not too far removed from Money in the Bank, which is like I don't even need
Yep.
to talk about that one. I was a big Zack Ryder fan. Woo woo woo.
You know it, bro.
I miss the dude, and like I really wish I was catching up a little more with the Matt Cardona with the hardcore stuff. It's a bit much for
Ah,
me, but like I'm
that's
glad to
fair.
see that
That's fair.
he's killing it in the indies. At the time, who else was I really? Oh, Daniel Bryan was another one. Like
Mm.
yeah, so I mean, like there were some superstars at the time. I kind of tapered off. I want to say, and it's not because the product got stale or anything, because I remember one of the last few things that I saw was John Cena's US title run, which was
Mm.
legendary. Like that was crazy good. This was like one of the
Yeah.
best runs Cena ever had.
Oh
um
yeah.
I tapered off just because of life reasons, like no other reason. Like watching a 3 hour episode of Raw every week started to be a
Yeah.
bit cumbersome, especially in this time
Hmm.
zone. Like I have to either be up or avoid spoilers the entire day, and like
Oh
maybe
man.
try get through a Raw like at night if I have energy.
Oh man, honestly, that is a really interesting time of pro wrestling, the PG era, as you said, as you
Yeah,
will. But we did get a lot of good nuggets, and we did get that great run of Cena as the U.S. champion. Without that, we wouldn't have Kevin Owens killing it in
yeah.
beginning when he first came from NXT. Sami Zayn, good really matches with Cesaro, Ziggler, even with
AJ
like
Styles.
AJ Styles, yeah, Kofi Kingston when he was a heel for a bit with the New Day. But
Mm.
but I think that was really cool to hear and see other people discovering wrestling at a different point, and it's not just the usual attitude era or ruthless aggression era.
Mm.
You discovered in the PG era kind of at the point where WWE was, you could say relevant, but not as talked about or relevant as it is today. So that's really cool and interesting to hear.
Yeah, exactly. It's I mean, like, don't get me wrong, at the time, like, because I was just getting into it, I was religiously looking up like all the Rock Austin at Mania
Hmm.
17, and I was looking up like all the big legendary moments and the legendary legends, the Hogans, the Ric Flairs, all the weird stories and the sad and bad stories and all the really good
Yeah.
stories as well. Like,
Hmm.
there was just like, on one hand, like, the product was still relatively pretty good at the time, and then on the other hand, even if I wasn't like latching onto any particular storyline, like, the WWE network was like brand new, so I could just like
Yeah.
go back and like take a look at whatever, and I was catching up on a lot of stuff, and Undertaker, Nick Foley, until now is just giving me chills.
Yep. It's still to
Yeah.
this day will give anybody chills. I mean, that honestly, that is probably the best way for anyone to ever watch pro wrestling beginning. Watch Taker, Mick Foley, Mankind, Hell in a Cell. I think it was
Mm.
898 or 90 97, 98,
Yeah, towards
somewhere
the
around
end
that.
of the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah. Have them watch that match first, and then you can really understand why people are so infatuated with pro wrestling. But
Yeah.
enough of the past because we're going into the future. As you see in our
Mm.
background right here, it this weekend is WrestleMania 40, the biggest event of the year, one of the biggest events, 2 nights, and we're gonna go through all the matches. We're gonna give our predictions, what we think, and who do we think is gonna win, who's going over, who's gonna get buried. Hopefully, no one gets buried because we don't want that here. All right, where everyone wants to be over. So let's get started here on night one, Saturday night WrestleMania with the. I believe this might be the first match. Now, we don't know if these are going to be the match orders per se, but this is probably a good guess. So we're going to start off with Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee of the LWO taking on Santos Escobar of Largado del Fantasma and the Judgment Day's Dominic Mysterio. Now, I'm glad that we're getting Santos and Dragon Lee on a Mania card because that's awesome. But the addition of Ray and Dominic into this, it adds an extra little sauce to it. Meelz, what do you think about that?
So, like, I'm not super familiar with Dragon Lee and Santos, but um, to have Dom and Ray both in relatively good condition, and
Yeah.
fighting each other like father and son, I don't think we've ever really had that. Like, at most, we've had moments where, like, maybe Vince and Shane were able to compete, not quite on equal levels, but like they were still able to compete. This is going to be very interesting on a purely like technical objective level. Like, I'm really interested to see this. You're gonna have to forgive me because I'm not entirely caught up with the current feuds and the current storylines, but I do
Oh.
vaguely understand Dirty Dom and
Hmm.
Dirty Dom with oh man, what is the name of the stable? Because they talked about all the
Ju-
time with Rhea.
Judgment Day. Judgment Day,
Judgment
my
Day.
bad.
Judgment Day with
Hmm.
our truth. um
Oh, that was great.
yeah,
And
but
just to let you know, Meelz, Bray and Dom had a match at WrestleMania last year, and that was in
oh,
my
okay, I gotta see
eh,
that.
yeah, in my opinion, that was one of the better matches they had in last year's WrestleMania. So whenever you get a
Ooh,
chance, go over and I think it's on YouTube. They put it on the YouTube channel. Go over there, get to give that a look. It's such a good match. Great story
okay,
they were telling
okay.
there. Yeah.
But as far as storytelling goes, I'm like, I'm thinking like this could potentially be like, if not the match, then at least one of the matches of like Ray passing the baton over to Dom,
Mhm.
because like Judgment Day is kind of like that's a whole story that's taking over the WWE.
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of been on a tear. I think it would like kind of makes sense to put Dom over just on that basis. And I yeah, I don't know. Like, this will tie into another match that we'll talk about in a little bit, but I'm
Mhm.
with what knowledge I have, I'm gonna put Santos and Dirty Dom.
I agree with you on that. Santos and Dominic going over, and on a loss for Ray and Dragon Lee does not hurt them one bit. Ray got a win last year at WrestleMania. Sorry to spoil that for you, Meelz.
Ah,
uh, Ray got the win last year's WrestleMania over Dom. Again, great match. And Dragon Lee is still trying to find his footing, if you will, on the main roster after being called up from NXT, joining the LWO. That's a great way to really set him up. So when Ray's not around there, Dragon Lee starts kind of picking up the weight. So that's really good. And again, Santos is one of those guys that he really needs a win to really establish him and his faction, the God of Death for the Tasma, because I they some factions are hit or miss sometimes. There's a lot of start and goes, so you really need to establish Santos here in this first match.
okay, okay.
Yeah. Up next, we're gonna go with the 6-woman tag match. We got Damage Control, Dakota Kai, Asuka, and Kairi Sane against Bianca Belair, Naomi, and the WrestleMania debut of Jade Cargill. Now, I've been watching Jade since her first appearance in AEW. Her appearance alone speaks volume. The woman has charisma, has that it factor that others wish they had. So seeing her finally jumping the ship to WWE has been great. She really has mixed it well within the other girls. I am really interested to see this match, especially with Damage Control. Meelz, what do you think? Have you been familiar with Jade Cargill from her time in AEW to now, or?
Fairly. I mean, like, yo, it's Jade Cargill, right? Like, all you gotta do is look at her stand, and you're already
Yes.
scared out of your
Oh yeah.
mind. So,
Mhm.
to me, like, the way that I'm seeing it is two things. One, Damage Control is kind of like over as all hell. It is like an all-star lineup of Dakota
Yeah.
Kai, Asuka, who has been holding
Mhm.
down the fort for
Yep.
Japanese representation in the WWE. Kairi Sane,
Absolutely.
who is coming back from her time off. They're on a tear. But on the other hand, you have Bianca Belair, you have Jade Cargill, fresh off of AEW, and you've got Naomi, also fresh off of AEW. Purely on this basis, and this is gonna be me kind of getting a little meta, but especially with the recent accusations, that's not the word. The recent the acquisitions, yes, very
Mm.
different word. The recent acquisitions of like not just them, but also CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. Um, I feel like if Jade and Naomi alone go over, this almost feels like a little bit of a finger towards AEW. It's like, hey, we've got this, and we're going to celebrate what we have here in the WWE and this locker room that we're cultivating and everything. On a meta level, I feel like that makes the most sense. As hard as I'm crushing on Kyrie Sane, as difficult as it is for me to say, but
Hey,
that's what
hey.
I'm gonna say.
Sometimes you just gotta go with logic. Sometimes you can't
You
always go with
gotta.
your heart. Can't always go with your heart.
I'm sorry, Kyrie. I'll treat you to McDonald's at the end of the week.
Hey, I'm sure she will say no to that. And on that
Uh,
note, I do see the team of Bianca, Naomi, and Jade going over. I'm not necessarily sure because I get your sentiment on kind of sticking it to AEW when it comes to Jade Cargill. I think she's going to be more presented as a superstar, as a larger than life character. And not to say she wasn't in AEW, but it kind of felt like she was getting stagnated with that TBS title, and they really weren't going anywhere else with her. So now seeing her jumped over to WWE, you see how they're able to maximize her potential in a way for these last few months. It's going to be a hell of a ride seeing Naomi back after being away for so long after that drama with her and Sasha Banks. It's good to see her back in the fold. It's amazing because she's always been a great talent. And Bianca is the EST for a reason. So I do see that team going over Damage Control. Again, a loss for them for Dakota, Kari, and Asuka does not hurt them one bit. They're still part of the faction of Damage Control. Still strong faction. No titles are being lost, so that's a positive. That's a good thing for that stable.
yeah, can't argue with that.
Yeah. All right. Up next is the 6-pack ladder match for the undisputed tag team titles. We got the teams of Judgment Day, Awesome Truth, DIY, New Catch Republic, A Town Down, and the New Day. I love ladder matches at WrestleMania. It's probably one of the greatest pastimes when you look back on the triple threat ladder matches with Edge, Christian, the Dudleys, and the Hardys. You go back
Mm,
to those Money in the Bank ladder matches when Edge won the first, CM Punk going back to back. So ladder matches and WrestleMania that always been a great thing. But with this one, it's interesting because what they presented on Raw on Monday was that the rules state whoever climbs the ladder and retrieves the first tag titles, excuse me, whoever retrieves the first set of tag titles becomes that champion. And the match only ends when both sets are taken down. So I'm pretty sure we're getting the title split
hmm.
100%. And this presents new avenues where you can do storytelling wise. First off, I think Judgment Day retains the Raw titles, but that won't be to the end. And then we're gonna have the New Catch Republic regain, not regain, but capture those SmackDown tag team titles. Because honestly, I think you gotta separate the tag titles. I mean, I understand why they had to unify them back then with the whole Bloodline storyline, but
Yeah.
with two shows hitting on all cylinders, with new tag teams starting to rise up, because tag team wrestling is alive and well in WWE
Yeah.
after being away for so long until the Usos brought it back. So this is really interesting. I do see Judgment Day winning at least the Raw titles, and I see the New Catch Republic winning the tag SmackDown tag. But they will win theirs first, and the match is going to end with Judgment Day winning the Raw. Meals, how do you feel? How do you see this?
I genuinely like can't disagree with you there. I mean, like, because I'm looking
Mm.
at the rest of these teams, and I'm trying to play it by order, by process of elimination. I'm like, okay,
Uh-huh.
you have the Awesome Truth, which, like, let's be completely real. This is like a sort of a nostalgia act, because, like, yo,
It
like,
is, yeah.
let's remember these guys went up against John Cena and The Rock. Like, that's like, man,
Yep.
so mind blowing to this day.
That
You've got the
that's
new,
10 plus years ago.
yeah. Jeez, oh, I'm old. Um,
Aren't we all?
so I would count the Awesome Truth and New Day out, just because nothing will really hurt them. Nothing will really hurt them.
No.
You've got A Town Down Under with Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. I think even just Austin Theory on his own, like, nothing can really truly hurt him. He's already got that credibility. DIY, I can't say I am super familiar with, so I unfortunately can't comment on that front. But I'm very well aware of, again, like, Judgment Day is going on a tear, and I feel like if we have like Santos and Dirty Dom going over LWO, like, to have at least Judgment Day win something, like, that only makes
Mhm.
sense to kind of have them own WrestleMania, at least parts of it, next to, like, the whole Bloodline story.
No, it makes sense. Yeah. And on that DIY subject, and Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, their time in NXT was legendary. If you ever get a
Mm,
chance, go back to those NXT takeover days. Their matches with the Revival, Chef's Kiss, those were legendary.
will
But
do.
this version of DIY is not the same. It's not. We don't have that same kind of feeling. And not to say Tommaso and Johnny are not great wrestlers; they are fantastic performers. It's just it's not the same feeling. And again, time did really hurt them. Getting injured, being not signing away, it hurts absolutely. But they're starting to get their feeling back, starting to get the swing of things. And yeah, like you said, Awesome Truth, Miz and Truth, that loss won't hurt them. It's literally a thank you to our Truth for literally the last few months he's been doing since he's been back. It's the
Yeah.
dude. The dude is timeless. He is absolutely timeless. He's been there
Really,
since
for real.
2000. Yeah, he's. I don't think nothing can crack this man.
I
Not
was
a
just
thing on
watching
God's earth.
Sorry, I was just watching a
No, you're good.
documentary of, like, Our Truth way back in the day, of, like, when he
Mhm.
first started off wrestling. I think he was, like, trying to get a rap career together. He was going
Yep.
to jail a lot, and, like, he just, like, on a whim, by chance, gave this wrestling thing a shot. And like, I was just, like, looking through the whole story of, like, getting fired by the WWE and then coming back and then trying the whole comedy shtick, and, like, he was one of the comedians that like really made a lasting impact. It's like, say what you will, but like Mick Foley's characters, legendary, but like he had so
Hmm.
many characters. You had Santino, you had
Yep.
yeah, all of these comedic characters. I feel like our truth is, in my opinion, probably WWE's strongest card in that front. Like nothing can really bring him down.
Oh no, absolutely. He's one of those guys that's going to be over until he actually calls it a career. And hopefully that's not anytime in the near future. But God, we got it. It's one of those things. Enjoy while it lasts, because I don't think enough people enjoy seeing it while they last.
My personal prediction is a side prediction from WrestleMania. I
Okay.
think I personally see our truth going like the Johnny Ace or Teddy Long route of like being a GM to SmackDown or Raw,
Mm,
and just kind of like
okay.
um I think mucking up the shows like in the most hilarious ways, like in 10-20 years from now, and I think it's going to rock.
Okay.
I think it's gonna rock.
You know what? That might not be a bad idea, my friend.
Yeah.
That might not be a bad idea at all. Okay.
Hmm.
I like where you're cooking there. I like how we think here. I like it. I like it a lot. Up next, it is a brother versus brother match. Main event: Jey Uso against Jimmy Uso. This is intense, and there's so much parallels when it comes to brothers versus brothers at WrestleMania. We had WrestleMania 10 with Owen versus Bret, WrestleMania 25 with Matt and Jeff, and now another 15 years later, we're getting Jimmy and Jay going at it. This is something that has been building up since last year's SummerSlam, and I love the long-term storytelling that we're getting. That's the best kind of wrestling. It finally blows over here at WrestleMania. Honestly, you don't have Jey Uso going over. This is the match he is meant to win and make sure he skyrockets him to the main event status that he's going to be. And well, okay, you know what? I say that now because I'm thinking in my head, we had the less popular brother always win at WrestleMania. We had Omen beating Brett at 10. We had Matt beating Jeff at 25. So logic says Jimmy should win, but it's hard not to go with Jay on momentum alone. But Meelz, what do you think? I talked way too long on this subject.
So I have very interesting thoughts, and this is gonna tie in again with long-term booking and both of these nights. I'm gonna give a bit of a spoiler to some of my thoughts to future matches in this night. So
Hmm.
let's rewind back again. Brother versus brother. I can't overstate how much I love this match. How much I also love the idea of tag teams splitting up and like fighting against each other. Recently we had Jericho versus MJF, which like
Yeah,
that was next level. Like, oh my goodness,
that
like
was really
as a
good.
team and as a feud, wow.
Hmm.
Like I
And
didn't think
it
so
makes it
good.
better. It's better when it made sense too. When teams split up making sense, that's when it's good. Because
Yeah.
sometimes when pro wrestling has tag team and it just split up out of nowhere, just like, huh, what? That makes no sense. Like there's a number of teams out there that just split up, and one guy gets so much and the other guy gets so little, and one gets lost in the shuffle. But ever since they split up the Usos, they have not lost any shuffle. I think Jimmy's doing some of the best character work he's ever done in his
Hmm.
career. Still sticking with the bloodline with Roman, Solo, and Paul Heyman. It's been masterful, and just I can't say enough. It's so good.
Yeah. I just love how ultimately the underlying theme of the entire two nights all comes back to the bloodline, which is
Yep.
why
Hmm.
I'm not gonna spoil what I think about a future match, but put a pin in this.
Okay.
I say Jimmy goes over, and put a pin in that, and we'll
Okay.
talk about that in a little
Okay.
bit.
All right. The pin has been set. I'm gonna put that pin right there. You stay right
There
there
you
now.
go.
We're
There you
gonna come
go.
back to you.
Hmm.
Up okay. Up next, I think this is gonna be one of the more, if not hard hitting, this is gonna be the showstopper of the match. They have the Intercontinental Champion, the Ring General Gunta, versus Sami Zayn. And I don't know if you watched Raw this past week, but they did a Rocky 3 style training montage with Sami Zayn and Chad Gable, which I laughed so hard when they were going for beats by beats. And there was a one particular line where they took straight from the movie, line for line. I thought it was masterful. It worked so good. And because the whole story of it's Sammy, can he actually beat Gunther? Gunther is going 650 days plus as Intercontinental Champion. No one's ever done it. It's
Yeah.
insane. No one can beat Gunther. So I love that underline of Sammy kind of doubting himself, but also saying to himself that he can do it. Meelz, what do you think? Who? Before I give my prediction, I want to know your prediction on this. Who's going over? Is Sammy winning that big IC title, or is Gunther still reigning supreme?
So logic tells me that I think Sammy goes over just because
Mhm.
Gunther doesn't really need it. He's already been established as like the big
Yeah.
dominant force in the IC scene. And in
Hmm.
my opinion, when this happens, I think Gunther needs to start like looking at greener pastures. Perhaps maybe this is when
Yeah.
like hot off of like the US title and the IC title, you regularly see people start to want to run for the heavyweight title, the WWE title,
Yeah.
Universal title. That's what I think. On the other hand, I'm just like, man, Sami Zayn and the IC title and the US title, it almost feels like he owns those titles. So this could go either way now that I really think about it, because he doesn't need them, but at the same time, it doesn't
True.
feel right with him not going over. Like, because it's been set so nicely. The underdog who has been cast out from the bloodline, like
Yeah.
everything, like things have just not gone his way, and he's going up against this massive superpower, and I think this will just breathe brand new life into his character. And I love Sami Zayn. I've got an autographed computer from Sami Zayn. It's
No
upstairs.
way.
Yeah, so
Oh,
okay.
that is.
uh
Oh, that's awesome.
Random story, when WWE were coming to do a house show in Malaysia,
Hmm.
a couple of folks invited me to go and meet them at the airport. And I'd never really quite done this before. So I came along. I was thinking of like, what can I get someone to sign? Someone on my Facebook friends list was just like, "Oh, bring the side of your computer. Trust me, bro." And I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. So I brought the side of my computer, and everybody was coming out. Who was there? We had Paige came out, AJ
Oh
Lee,
wow.
John
Okay.
Cena, um, Big Johnny was there, but he was doing like backstage stuff. This was long after 28.
Mhm.
Who else? Justin Roberts. I think I don't know if I just said. Uh, I couldn't really get anyone's attention because everyone around me was already getting their pictures and their autographs and stuff. And the one that I was able to get the attention of was Sami Zayn. And I was like,
Oh,
"Can you
no
sign my
way.
computer?" I just yelled, "Can you sign my computer?" And I had like my marker pen, and he was trying to do it, and he just looked at me in the eyes and said, "I'm sorry, but it's out of ink." And he was about to walk off before
Oh
someone right next to me
no.
yelled, "I've got ink in my pen." And so he grabbed the pen, signed my computer,
Mhm.
and said, "There you go, mate."
Oh wow, that is a
Yeah.
great story. Shout out to that random stranger with the ink in the
Yeah. Shout
pen.
out to the random stranger. Shout out to Sammy if you're watching this.
Mhm.
Like
Hopefully, I don't know.
assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much.
That I love listening to stories like that. Those are very fun and interesting.
Yeah.
All
But
right,
yeah,
so
so my vote will, by default, will have to go to Sami Zayn. Like it feels a bit easy for me to go, oh, babyface goes over. But this is it's just one of those, like, it's WrestleMania 40. It's one of the decade WrestleManias, right? You want to have like feel good
mhm.
moments, like really, really good, hard hitting endings. Even if it's the heel going over, it's gotta be hard hitting and like satisfying, you know?
You make great points, Meals. You make
Yeah.
fantastic points. I love everything you just said there. But I have to go with Ring General Gunther
Can't
going
argue
over,
with that.
and hey, only because these past few weeks on Raw, they have really been establishing Ricochet. And his past match with Ivar on Raw, the last week he had with JD McDonough, they have been fantastic. So my thought in theory is Gunther goes over Sammy and wins. And the only guy that's gonna beat Gunther, finally end the reign of his terror, is the guy that he started the Intercontinental title reign with, and that's Ricochet. He beat
Ooh.
Ricochet so long ago for that title. I think it's going to be Ricochet beating Gunther for that title. I don't know if it'll be at a Backlash in Paris, maybe at Clash of the Castles at Scotland. I just announced, maybe somewhere down the road. But I think they're really setting up Ricochet to go over big over Gunther sooner than later.
That sounds. Oh, I can't argue with that either. Ooh. I genuinely want to like. I don't want to say either of us are wrong. Actually, like I want to see how this goes over first and foremost.
All right, and that's how. Hey, that's how I'm thinking. I'm like these bookers thinking 3 months or 4 months ahead now. All right, up next, which I would think will kind of be the co-main event of Night 1 of WrestleMania. It's the Women's World Championship. Rhea Ripley defending it against Becky Lynch. This has been a match years in the making. I cannot wait to see this. Becky Lynch is probably the personification of this era when it comes to women's wrestling. And then Rhea Ripley going the full calendar year of defending that title after winning it against Charlotte Flair last year in one of the best matches in all time in WrestleMania. It's just a hard one to say because I can see both girls going over and winning it, but I think it's the matter of who needs it most.
Yeah,
and I think Becky needs it most because she hasn't had that world title since like the pandemic WrestleMania when she faced Shayna Baszler in their warehouse.
And
I think that
I
was the
think
last time
she gave it over to Asuka, right? At that time.
Yeah, she did. She handed to her the Money in the Bank, and yeah, I think Becky really needs it. Not to say she needs the title because she's been having other titles, the women's tag titles, the NXT women's title. But yeah, it's been a while. I think we really need to set the stage of Becky being the man again. Not to say she's not the man because she is the man, but
Always.
to have that moniker of the man needs the title. So I'm gonna go with Becky. Unfortunately, mommy always goes over. Oh, mommy's always on top. Not tonight, unfortunately. Not tonight. Meelz, what say you?
This one is so difficult for me because I love both, but in terms of my personal favorite, like I will always be biased to Becky Lynch because that Mania with her and Charlotte and Ronda Rousey, that's like one of my favorite that's one of my favorite main events ever, and like that just immediately won me over the same way that like John Cena won me over at Mania 28, and like Becky is like this current generation is probably one of my favorites. Hard hitting personality. I love seeing her in the ring. Not to discount Rhea Ripley either, which unfortunately I hadn't had as much time with, but I did catch Elimination Chamber Perth because time zones, that one was so much easier to catch. Like,
I would imagine.
Yeah.
I could watch a show in the middle of the afternoon. This feels good.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, and the funny thing is, because Perth is only a 4-hour flight from here, technically I could have actually gone. Yeah,
you could have. They might be trying to go back there next year, maybe.
Yo, if they do, I've already got a bunch of friends. We're gonna actually do it. But
oh, that's awesome.
It's difficult for me to objectively say which one will go over because I love both. I think both deserve it just as much. And like going back to the whole Judgment Days running the show, to have Rhea Ripley go over while the Judgment Day goes over as well. I think that would be like really, really sweet. But at the same time, I really gotta give it to the man. Like she needs to really live up her time as like the face of women's wrestling right now. And so okay, this really pains me to say, but I'm just gonna go with my personal preference. I love the man. I'm putting Becky over.
Hey, you can't argue with that, man. The man is the man. We love the man.
Yeah.
And it's funny you mentioned that. It will be a great juxtaposition. Pretty much everyone on the Judgment Day winning night 1 of WrestleMania, but Rhea Ripley. And that can set up a lot of great storylines down the road.
Yeah.
Because she's been kind of the forefront, kind of the quote unquote leader of Judgment Day. But though if she loses, everyone else wins. Where does that really put her on the pecking order in Judgment Day?
Yeah.
Now we're really opening some doors here. And now we're gonna end night 1 with this main event. Another tag team main event, back-to-back years for night 1. That's great to see. I love tag team wrestling. It is the team of Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, the World Heavyweight Champion, against the Universal Undisputed Heavyweight Champion Roman Reigns and his cousin, the High Chief, the final boss, the People's Champ, The Rock. Meelz, you said earlier you put a pin on this one. I'm getting that pin back. Okay, the pin's here. Lay it on me. What do you got on this?
I'm gonna say the bloodline rules night one. I think the bloodline
Okay.
needs to rule night one and instill the fear into everyone. So you're gonna have people going back to their hotel rooms and the kids going to sleep, hating The Rock, hating Roman Reigns,
Uh,
and just like, oh my god, what the hell is going to happen now? Like they really need to layeth the smacker down at this point, because we're gonna have Jimmy go over, we're gonna have the bloodline go over, and we're gonna end the night once again thinking the bloodline is like completely unstoppable. And I think it's believable too, because The Rock absolutely will always have the mileage. I think at his age, The Rock is probably the best performer, best looking performer anyway,
yeah,
compared to everyone
definitely.
else who has done their like big comeback matches and stuff. Roman Reigns, we don't even need to say, like, he's been champion this long for a good reason.
Hmm.
Like I come from a time where um, you know, WWE trying to make him the big dog was like the running joke in the IWC, and
Yep,
see him come this far, it's just like, man,
masterful.
I can't even think about it. Like it's
Hmm.
ridiculous. Um, Cody and Seth, neither of them need this victory right now, because at the end of the day, Cody's still gonna have his shot no matter what. But I
Yeah,
think we're gonna end it with the bloodline instilling the fear into his eyes.
and it's important to know too. If Rock and Roman win this match, the next night at WrestleMania is Bloodline Rules. What does that mean? It means anything goes. Roman can have all of his cousins, every cousin that he knows in that family could be at ringside. Paul and Heyman could be on commentary. The Rock can walk around whatever he wants. So again, I do. You make a good point. Having so, I'm assuming Jimmy's going. You said Jimmy's going over. Yeah, you said that
Yes.
earlier. I apologize. Jimmy goes over. Rock Roman goes over. It really does set the stage for a quote unquote finish the story.
Mhm.
And it's that hero's journey that Cody needs. Cody needs that hero's journey, the obstacles, the hurdles that goes in front of him every single time. I mean, it really does right itself. And I think that's why they made that stipulation, bloodline rules, if Rock and Roman wins. And you know, it really, and again, Cody and Seth, they don't need to win this one. Seth has his WrestleMania match the next night. Cody has that world title match the next night. The only fear I have in that match the next night is don't over gimmick it. If you know what I mean, don't put too much Gaga in it. I'll talk more about that once we get
Yeah,
to it. But
yeah,
yeah, I think Rock Roman probably the right way to go, because you I know it's that old adage, make them go home happy. They don't need to go home happy night one.
no,
They
they
don't. They don't
don't.
need to go home night one. That's why we got 2 nights. They know what they're doing. Come on now. It's long-term storytelling, baby. Come on now.
Yeah.
Now we're going to night two, Sunday WrestleMania. And again, these matches, we're not going by order. There's not official order. We're just going them as they're presented to us on websites. I'm going off Bleacher Report. They're usually pretty on point. But the first one, I'm assuming, actually, I'm going to go on Audible on this because they have a certain order, which I don't think it'll be an order. But I'm going to go with LA Knight versus AJ Styles first. Now, that to me, seeing two top TNA guys in a WrestleMania match against each other, I think that's fantastic. Mind blown, right? Who would have
Yeah.
thought 15 years ago Eli Drake versus LA Knight in a WrestleMania singles match, nothing else in between, and they're just two dudes that just hate each other. And those are the kind of the better matches that you get to see on WrestleMania. I Does AJ need to win? No, he doesn't. I think he's solidified himself as a main eventer, as a superstar that he is. I think you really got to establish LA Knights. You
Yeah.
really got to,
Yeah.
because I think he got screwed in Royal Rumble because there was too much going on. Elimination Chamber, I think, probably not the right match for him to be in, to
Yeah.
be totally honest. So this one right here, I think is gonna be really good. Seeing 80,000 people going, yeah, it's gonna be amazing. And I just love LA Knight. It's gonna be a great match to see. Meelz, what you got?
I like again with by order of deduction because like AJ Styles has had such an incredible run since coming over to WWE. Uh, Styles Cena, Styles
Mm-hmm.
Undertaker. He didn't even have to go
Yeah.
over, and he looked so good in that match.
Yep.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
he AJ does not need it. I think AJ putting LA Knight over is such a fantastic way to go about building him up. There was someone, one of my friends was actually trying to sell me on watching Raw again and was telling me, excuse me, LA Knight was basically going to be this generation's John Cena, which on a side note,
Okay.
I'm like half glad that he's kind of wrong on this, just purely on the basis of we don't need a new John Cena. Everybody's a
Yeah.
superstar. I love it.
Yeah.
Um,
Everyone's their own superstar. Yeah.
yeah, but I do want to see LA Knight like really prove himself and solidify himself in a big old WrestleMania match, going over someone who is um arguably the much bigger name in the company right now. And Styles hasn't
Yep.
is not new to the company either. Like he's
Oh
been
no.
around for a hot minute. So like I think it's about time he put someone over, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. It honestly doesn't hurt because
Yeah.
AJ is so solidified at this point. He's going into the Hall of Fame for WWE for sure, just on
Yeah.
his career outside of WWE alone. But
Yeah.
yeah, LA Knight for the win, going over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Up next, we got a six-man Philly street fight with Bobby Lashley and the Profits versus the Final Testament of the team of Karrion Kross and the Authors of Pain. This was kind of like a last-minute match put in. Don't have a lot for this one, only because I feel the story, there's not enough heat to it. There's not much to it. And I feel like if we have maybe an extra month to build on this, there could be something there, but I think you might have to go with the Final Testament, Cross, and the Authors of Pain to go over, just to establish. Again, you need to establish Cross because when he came back after being released, he was presented as this great guy who could be a challenger for Roman. That obviously hasn't solidified. Just the whole stop and starts with him. So, and obviously Bobby Lashley is the Almighty. Street Profits, great tag team. A loss for them at this WrestleMania doesn't hurt them at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with the Final Testament for the win on this. Meelz, how do you feel? Who do we got in this Philly street fight?
Yeah, I think I have to go with the Final Testament as well, purely on the basis that it's Bobby Lashley, dude, and the Street
Mm-hmm.
Profits. They don't need it. Like there's just not really been enough time. I don't doubt it's gonna be a bad match or anything. In fact, we haven't even
Oh
had
no.
a single bad match in this entire card. How nuts is that?
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, honestly, yeah, I know. Yeah, thank you for saying that, Meals, because I was
yeah,
not saying that this is going to be a letdown or bummer match or anything like that.
yeah,
First off, this is a Philly street fight, so we're going to see toys being used throughout the match, and who knows, we might see an appearance from a Jason Kelsey. They've been trying to get him to show up at this WrestleMania, so if you're not familiar, Jason Kelsey, one of the centers for the Eagles, big wrestling fan. So it's going to be one of those fun car crashes that we see at WrestleMania every year.
yeah. So roll the dice. Final Testament. I'm just gonna end it with that. I wish I had something more productive to say other than it looks like it's gonna be a fun match.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah.
And up next, speaking of fun matches, we got the United States Championship in a triple threat: Logan Paul
Ooh.
against Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. And call me crazy, I think Logan Paul wins. And that really just, I know, everyone's on here is like, how dare you go with the outsider? Well, this outsider has shown he got the skills to do it.
That's the
He's got the
thing.
love. yeah, he's got the love. He's not just there to promote his stuff, which, by the way, the partnership that they're doing, it's actually a genius thing to do because I've seen a
Yeah.
lot of those Prime bottles everywhere. Those things are all over the place. So it'll be dumb of them not to make a deal partnership with Logan Paul. And honestly, Randy doesn't need the U.S. title. Kevin Owens doesn't need the U.S. title. It's there as a MacGuffin, if you will, and it really sets up Logan Paul for which I believe, if it's not this WrestleMania, somewhere down the road, we're gonna get a Logan Paul versus Bad Bunny match. Just them two alone.
Ooh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
I'll hold you to
yeah.
that.
No, you better hold
Um,
me to that. That's definitely happening.
so my thoughts on this. Um, First things first. As much as I appreciate his presence, and I definitely do love Orton, but I can't help but feel he's a red herring, purely because the chemistry between Logan Paul and Kevin Owens. Oh my goodness, it feels like a
Yeah.
Looney Tunes like
It,
Roadrunner kind of thing going on. I can never not be entertained with the two of them just being on screen in the same frame. It's
no, agreed.
I don't see okay. Okay, this is a wild card one, but
Mm.
I feel like if Randy gets the title, we may see an encore of this triple threat again, or maybe even something wackier like
Mm.
Logan Paul and Kevin Owens in a handicap match against Randy Orton. Something crazy like that. I'm just like,
Ooh.
I, I
Okay.
don't know.
Okay.
Whatever it is, I just see Logan Paul and Kevin Owens just hamming it up, and I just love the two of them interacting in any way. It reminds me so much of um Jericho and MJF and how petty it got and how like
Mm.
wacky and cartoony it got. It's oh my god. And Logan Paul, I like say what you will about Logan Paul like outside of the WWE, but I don't think you can ever deny that the dude has got chops. His game
Oh
on the
yeah.
mic, his game in the ring. I am
Mm-hmm.
shocked. I am flawed that I'm loving him this much, and I am very glad to be proven wrong on that front. And again, with Kevin Owens, he is just so entertaining. I hate to be an in betweener for this one, but I'm gonna have to go with like no contest for me. I can't. This is one that I really
No
can't.
contest. Wow. You can't. Oh,
Yeah,
it
because
just
it
hurts
can
you too
go
much.
genuinely can go either way just because of like Logan and Kevin. Like I'm so
Okay. Okay. All right. I respect that. I respect that decision you
yeah.
made right there. It's crazy you say that because they first brought in Logan Paul to be this super uber duper baby face, and that's not him. People
Yeah.
don't like him. And when they finally lean into that, he turned into a bigger star that he already was. And that's insane. And
Yeah.
it's that crazy thing. He doesn't need WWE. He loves to do it. It just makes everything around it better.
That
It's
that hits it right on the head because like that's the thing that I notice about his character is that he is playing in to exactly what people don't like about him. And
mhm.
I'm not free of blame. These are exactly the things that I don't like about him either, but the fact that he's playing into it as a heel and like just really taking notes and going, how do I make the most entertaining product ever? And oh my goodness, as like he's so good. It's
He
crazy. like
is.
like
He
I
is.
gotta give him so much respect for that, man.
Absolutely. You can't hate it. You can hate him and outside and all you want, but the in-ring work, mic work, everything,
You
top
can't.
notch.
It's
You can't.
impossible. I
Can't.
tried. I
Yeah.
tried.
We all tried, but we
Yeah.
all have failed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Uh, Up next, we have the women's championship. We have Io Sky
Mm.
defending it against the women's Royal Rumble winner, Bailey. Now, seeing this version of Bailey as a babyface is very interesting. Obviously, she's not that hugger, happy-go-lucky kind of character we
Mhm.
saw her before she turned heel. So this is a new era, a new style of Bailey that I'm really liking and seeing. They've really been developing the story ever since Asuka and Kari joined Damage Control since like I think last year's Crown Jewel. I think. pretty much. It's all been building up to this. The momentum is behind Bailey. I think Bailey gets her like big moment in the sun. Her first 101 match of Mania, and I think she definitely gets the win over Io Sky. Nothing against Io Sky. I think she is absolutely fantastic. She has been a fantastic champion ever since she cashed in Money in the Bank. And I think, yeah, Bailey goes over on top on this. Meelz, what's
Yeah.
say you?
I have to agree. And oh my goodness, like I remember seeing her coming up. She was coming up from NXT, right? Like when she was doing
Mm-hmm.
the whole hugging
Yep.
gimmick. I'm a hugger. And I just remember my first impression of her when I was seeing her back then was that she is way too talented to be doing like an over the top gimmick like this. Like if
Yeah.
she ever stays face, and something always told me that she's gonna be like one of the big baby faces. Something always told me
Mm-hmm.
like she's gonna go away with this, and like something is gonna bring her to like the edgier, like Becky Lynch, Rhea Ripley kind of like style of character, because that's just the nature of like the personality of the product right now. And
Yep.
I think it has been extremely interesting to go to see her develop all these years, and all the best for her. I can't say I'm the biggest Bailey fan. I can't even really tell you why. It's just like she's not someone that I always like truly think about, but I do really love her. Um Having said that, it also just makes sense of to see her go over. And if even if she's not going over, this could be maybe her turn at long-term booking or something like that,
Yeah.
because she's I feel like she's had to prove herself from the hugging gimmick to being on commentary backstage, and then to the heel turn and everything. It's been an uphill battle for her, like for the past, like I want to say, decade. So like this could just be the chance of another like ultimate underdog character, because we have always wanted to see her prove herself. And so I feel like if you start planting the seeds now, we may just have another like Becky Lynch moment at what was it, Mania 36, 35? I can't remember
I think
the first
35. Yeah, 35.
35, yeah. And even if she doesn't go over now, I don't think it's the end of the world. But let's just say, for the benefit of making WrestleMania the end of the story, we'll say Bailey goes over.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense right there. It's crazy to think Bailey's been there for 10 plus years now.
Yeah.
Dating back to her NXT days. It's amazing, these NXT guys who's been there for 10 plus years.
Yeah.
God, Meelz, we're old. We're getting too old. I don't like this one bit. Up next, though, enough of our depression. Up next is the World Heavyweight Championship match between Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. Probably one of the most interesting matches going into this year's WrestleMania. Obviously, it was probably going to be CM Punk and Seth, because the story's there, the hatred, the rivalry, the heat is all there to build on. CM Punk gets hurt at the Rumble. Unfortunately, Drew wins the Elimination Chamber, and he has just been on a tear on the mic lately. He is on another level. His character turned from pure obsession, jealously. It's just amazing. Like he's done the best work that he's done in a long time. And crazy enough, I think Drew gets his moment. He wins in front of a crowd to win the title at WrestleMania, because losing for Seth does not hurt him one big. Losing back-to-back nights, Seth doesn't lose anything. But Drew, he wins the match, but he doesn't keep the title. Why you say that? Why would I even say this? Because Damian Priest cashes in Money in the Bank. He
Oh.
pulls a heist of the century style cash in on Drew, and Damian walks away as the new World Heavyweight Champion, establishing more conflict in the Judgment Day since we believe Rhea losing the night before. Everyone has won except Rhea, and Damian winning the biggest one, the world title, and that will set up more things down the road. But Meelz, what do you say? Am I speaking crazy? Were you expecting that left turn out of nowhere?
Let me add on to that. Let me add on to the
Please do.
wackiness. Was Seth not the one that cashed in on Brock last minute?
Yeah, he did on Brock and Roman
Would this not
WrestleMania
be a
31.
nice full circle moment? Because I think I have to
Yeah.
agree with you on this one. In terms of, okay, let's try ignore that possibility for a moment. As
Okay.
amazing as that is, and I I don't think you're too far off the mark. But let's just
I
focus
hope
on
I'm not.
Seth and Drew for a moment. You mentioned CM Punk, and I think that's something very interesting to be said because um we have no idea when Punk is coming back, and
True.
these two, they are building up to something with one of, if not both of these two having something with Punk. Is it going to be a handicap? Is it going to be a triple threat? Is it going to be something? I don't know, but it seems very strange to me that one goes over the other and the other would be left out of some kind of feud with CM Punk. So it's very difficult for me to say. Having said that, Drew is one of those mega villains that I just can't really see getting buried over here. Like Seth, I don't know. Seth doesn't entirely need it, I don't think. But this is another one that's like very difficult to say. My gut says that it doesn't make sense with Drew not going over. Like I'm just gonna
Yeah.
leave it at that.
No, it makes sense. And speaking of Punk, CM Punk is going to be on commentary, which adds
Oh
another
yeah.
extra layer to the sauce in this story, which I can't wait to see or listen to him during this match. It's going to be great. But yeah, it just since the injury to Punk, it makes all the logical sense for Drew at least to win, to finally get a win over Seth, to finally win the title. That
Yeah.
all is set up and makes absolute sense. But then you add on Damian Priest, Judgment Day, cashing in. I see that as a huge possibility. And that also sets up for the more of the mental stability that's being lost for Drew. Because we've been seeing him like his character going down and down more and more. Him losing by a cash in, that will set him up even again. Because it's not the first time he got cashed in on. He got cashed in on the Miz right before WrestleMania when they were coming back with people in the pandemic era.
Hmm.
So this will it all sets up for character getting to the next level. It's almost Shakespearean, if you will.
Yeah.
Where's the Academy Awards section for this at? Damn it.
Exactly. I remember there was one interview that Paul Heyman gave where he was trying not to compare, for example, like the Bloodline story to anything else in professional wrestling, but he was trying to compare
Mhm.
it to something like Breaking Bad or The
Ooh, yeah.
Sopranos or something like that. And
Mm,
I absolutely see it. It's like they're
yep.
building this up as a story first and foremost. And these kinds of stories take years and years and
Mhm.
like you've interviewed me before, like you know my deal with Steven Universe, and like you don't
Yeah.
get to a point with like the Diamond War in season 5 um after like Cookie Cat in season 1. Like there has to, it's a gradual, like it builds up so much.
Yep.
I remember there was a name for this trope, but it's like a happy, fun, light-hearted show or story that progressively gets darker and darker and darker and heavier, and you cannot get to that heavy, like hard-hitting stuff. And man, season 5 of Steven Universe hits different, and you can't get that without the long-term booking. Like you just can't.
Absolutely. Again, all the stars lined up for everything to happen as it should be. Oh man, we're getting spoiled here, Meelz. I hate to say
Yeah.
this, but we're in our last match of night 2 WrestleMania, the main event: Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes for the undisputed Universal Championship. And as we both said, this is going to be Bloodline rules. And I was saying earlier in the show, it adds an extra layer for Cody. He needs that hero's journey. He needs to finish the story. How do you put in more hurdles? How do you make more obstacles? Have all the bloodline in ringside. Put The Rock with Pat McAfee at commentary. Have Paul Heyman run around, do something. Hall of Famer, by the way. Congrats to Paul Heyman.
Hmm.
It all and it all sets up Roman Reigns to finally lose to Cody. I know a lot of people want him to hold that title until SummerSlam to pass Hogan's record. But I don't think he needs it. He honestly does it. Roman has done the work. He's done his time. He has established himself as an all-time great, especially in this run. And as all good things must end, so must this title reign of our tribal chief, as Roman Reigns is. The one's up. Hello, our tribal chief, Roman Reigns. You lose tonight to the American Nightmare, the grandson of a plumber, Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes goes over, and I think because it's bloodline rules, there's going to be a lot of shenanigans. I hope not too much, because when you get over gimmick, you start to lose what the match truly is about, and it gets lost in the shuffle. I do see Jay getting involved. I do see Seth some way getting involved. I'm not sure how, but I do see him getting involved in this match. Pro- mm, Probably someone interfering in the match before with his world title, just maybe. But I think hands down, Seth Rollins goes over. I mean, what am I saying? Jesus, Cody Rhodes goes over. He wins the title, and he finishes the story. This chapter is ending. This book is ending for Cody, and starts a new one the next night on Raw. Meelz, what say you?
Right. So let's rewind the clock and go back to night one. How I said bloodline rules.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we've established that. Jimmy went over. We've established that.
Yep.
I am going to completely blow your mind with this one.
No, Meelz.
Halfway through the match,
Uh huh.
everyone turns on Roman Reigns.
Oh,
So there have been rumors that The Rock turns on Roman Reigns. Solo, if
yeah.
it's gonna be Paul, I don't see it being Paul. I think if anyone's going to
No.
stay on Roman's side, it would probably be Paul. But
Yep.
this is why I say it. Um, I personally am not completely comfortable with the idea of The Rock um playing second fiddle to Roman, because The Rock, like
Mm.
like he's kind of got it made. He's kind of got it
Yep.
made. He's like he owns shares in TKO, or he owns TKO. I can't remember what exactly it was,
He
but
he is a board. He's a board member. He's a
he's
like
a board
official
member of
board member.
TKO.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So he's a board member of TKO, star of all like the Fast and Furious movies, and like
Mhm.
all these other. He's a mega rock star. He
Yep.
and he is bowing down and playing second fiddle to quote unquote the worst member of the Shield. So I like, because of a blood oath from yonks ago, involving people who are not actually alive anymore, and like I it at risk of sounding disrespectful, let me try bring that into the storytelling
All right.
context.
All right.
Because the reason why I say this is because Rock is going to at one point understand and recognize that his blood oath, um, between his and Roman's families way back in the day, as much as they are gassing it up, and as much as they are talking about how sacred uh Samoan families go, this also does not diminish Cody Rhodes' family legacy, and this is something even way back in the dashing era of Cody
Mm.
Rhodes, even back in the Stardust and Goldust era. It has always been about family, and for Rock to like not recognize that, like that doesn't make sense to me. That, and also I don't see Rock leaving Raw as a heel. I'll be totally honest. That a bit of that does kind of spoil it. I hope I was not being like super offensive when when discussing like
No.
Samoan families and stuff. Like I can't claim to understand, but this is my prediction. I think everyone
Mhm.
turns Solo. Like, I can't help but feel, even way back in the beginning, how much Solo was being disrespected by Roman and everybody. He's like the he's the muscle, right? He's the muscle that kind of
Yeah.
sits in the back, and he's not really being respected, and he doesn't really, his character doesn't really have any agency. And this could be the moments that he
That's true.
goes, hey, I'm my own guy. This could start, uh and pardon the pun, a solo career for this man. So like
Yeah.
I like, it could kill so many birds with one stone. The bloodline disbands, and like you may get the Usos back, I don't know, or maybe Jimmy and Jay
Hmm.
still stay feuding. There's so many possibilities, but it's lining up a bit too well. And like, obviously, like, this is the big decade WrestleMania, right? You had
Yep.
uh Chris Benoit in WrestleMania 20, Daniel Bryan in WrestleMania 30,
30.
um and classic underdog, overbooked mid card. This is like, I saw someone in the IWC saying this: overbooked mid card, underdog story, getting over
Yeah.
big,
Hmm.
like, decade WrestleMania. And like,
Yep. I see.
it hits, and
It
like,
does.
seeing
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan with the two titles going up, like
Hmm.
it's such a perfect storybook ending. Like, then you can also throw a wrench into it. There's so much to talk about. If you can also throw a wrench into it and build Roman to be even bigger than before. And
You
like, I
could.
don't know, there's so many things you can do with it. That's what I love so much about this bloodline story, is that there's so many different possibilities of how the story can end at WrestleMania.
Hmm.
And not only that, how it gets to that point and what the repercussions are. It branches out so much. This is so much more than like back in the day in the PG era. You had, Cena versus Big Show. If Big Show wins, well, what's gonna happen? Cena has to win, obviously. Lol.
Hmm.
That was the meme back then. Cena wins, lol.
Well,
And
yep.
it was like, I love Cena. Like I'm the Cena guy, but even I have to admit, it was so like two-dimensional, the storytelling. This is like,
Yep.
as obvious as it looks for Cody Rhodes to go over. There's so many ways you can go about it, which is why, like, I am so glad to be ending this card with saying I predict Cody goes over, obviously, but at the same time, not obviously, because anything can happen.
That's true. That is true. And if we learn anything from last year's WrestleMania, is that don't expect how the story is going to end. And that is 100% true right there. Everything you just said, Meelz. This is a blast. I had such a fun time talking with
Man,
you, geeking out pro wrestling. I know I had to bring you back for one more go on YouTube. I know you posted your quote unquote farewell. I don't believe it's a farewell. I know we're gonna see you back sooner
mhm.
than later. At this point, I usually ask my guests, where can people find you? But yeah, where could they find you in your music? Because you do a lot of great music out there still. I want people to still discover your work. The Friends trilogy is amazing for the Lumini. Before we go, you putting my name on that, I have to say, I popped for that. I wasn't expecting that. You got me
Of
good
course,
because I
of
was just
course, of course.
yeah, I wasn't. I was just relaxing, watching it. Next thing I knew, see my name pop. I was like, "This mother effer put me in." He didn't have to. You put me. You put me in names that I don't deserve yet. I don't deserve to be in those status and names yet. But I appreciate it. That was amazing. Thank you again. That was
All the love in
awesome.
the world, man. So,
Yeah.
mealsmusic.com, youtube.com/meals. Obviously, as I posted a video. Like, if you haven't seen that, I'm taking a little bit of a break. This is not a quitting break or anything. This is just, I need to get my life in order kind of break, and I'll come back when it makes the most sense. That's
Mhm.
all I'll say. So this is not the end for me. You know, your boy is gonna come back, and he's gonna run for the title and they do the whole purple juice. Do, 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 do. You know what's going on.
Absolutely. Hey, that's a great. I don't know if you do merch. When it makes sense, that's a great T-shirt there, my friend. When it makes
Mm.
sense.
You know what? You can grab a Just Friends t-shirt from my sweatshop,
Hey,
which is at mealsmusic.com.
Mhm.
And while I'm selling t-shirts, you know what? I may just take that. I may just take that suggestion. Just keep a
Yeah.
lookout. Keep a lookout.
Hey, you never. Hey, I help people when I can when I'm not even trying to help. But yes, make
All right.
sure you
Send
go
me
follow
send,
me.
send me your payment details in a bit.
Hey, 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 listen. My information is that. But yes, you make sure to follow me or support him in all his musical journey that he has gotten us on. I know it won't be a goodbye for too long. We know I'm going to see you again sooner than later here on the tubes. And you guys can also follow me here on YouTube at Sam Macias, first and last name. You guys can follow me on Twitter at SamMac55, Instagram at Sam Macias5, TikTok at SamMac55 as well. Make sure you hit like, subscribe to this video here, subscribe to my channel. We're doing a lot of fun things here. Hopefully I could get Meelz on to do more pro wrestling stuff. It's been a blast. And yeah, WrestleMania this weekend. All of you have fun, enjoy, don't go too crazy. Yeah, I got my big belt right there. Meelz got his belt. It's gonna be a fun time. And until next time, bye.